If you're feeling at all stuck in your relationship, how'd you like one thing that you can do in 10 minutes that could make a difference? Well, if you want to know what that is, just keep listening. I'm Geoff Laughton, your relationship architect of yourrelationshiparchitect.com. And I want to talk about something that I remember learning, 25 years ago, that I remember at the time felt like really revolutionary. Like, wow, I had never thought of that. And in the 25 years since, including all the years that I've been working with couples as their coach, this is still something that I have yet to experience as a perspective that's really out there in the mainstream. So here's the concept. You might want to write this down. Anything that you have not yet worked through, resolved, feel emotionally, intellectually, physically complete with one or both of your parents, living or dead, whatever you haven't really been able to work out with them, and even more interesting, whatever your mom and dad never really have gotten fully handled between each other, stuff that might have been going on in their relationship when you were growing up, stuff that still might be going on, even if they're divorced, issues that still come up, even if one or both of them are gone. Whatever you didn't get from them, and whatever they haven't worked out, you are trying to get all of that taken care of in your relationship. So let that sink in a second. Let me think. So whatever my mom and dad never really got complete or resolved with, I'm trying to work that out in my relationships. You bet your butt you are, and you probably don't even know it. So, think about this for a second. What's the first relationship you ever get to watch as a model? Your parents, right? Or if you grew up without both parents around, or you grew up without either parent being around, whoever was your primary caretaker, they were an instrumental first movie, if you will, for you to watch and learn from. So let's just assume that you did grow up for some period of time with both parents in the house. Their relationship might have been good, their relationship might have been pretty crappy, somewhere in between. Whatever it was, in those first 7 years where our brain picks up the majority of the programming, if you will, like software, that is going to drive our behavior about 95% of the time, according to most experts that have studied this, that's the programming that we unconsciously operate from, especially in our relationships, because our love relationships are the most riskiest. Why? Because we don't want to get hurt, but we really want love. Well, let me go back to what I said at the beginning. Whatever you haven't gotten complete with your own parents, you're going to be looking for that to get handled, resolved, a need fulfilled in the relationship you have. So if I put it even more bluntly, what's your first thought when I tell you probably most of your matchmaking that happened when you were dating, or if you're dating right now, the part of you that's out there looking for a partner, or the part of you that chose the partner that you have, is probably anywhere from about 1 or 2 years old in terms of its consciousness, beliefs, and patterns to about 7. Okay, so if you can get that, you see that I might have a point, then here's why this is so important. Because conflicts that come up between you and your partner, particularly recurring conflicts, disagreements on issues, or the thing that I see the most with couples is power struggles. One control freak trying to control another control freak, or a control freak trying to dominate and control somebody who is terrified of being dominated and runs at the first sign of feeling that they're being dominated, controlled, bossed around, what have you. Any of that sounding familiar, friends and neighbors? Well, if it is, here's the thing. The good news is you can stop that. But before you can stop it, you really have to realize that this is what's going on. So let me give you a concrete example. I know one couple who keep getting in a conflict about how supportive the other partner really is. In this particular case, it's a woman who is chronically upset that her husband does not seem to value her enough, make her a high enough priority, etc. And this is really a major bone of contention that I'm sure probably not many of you out there watching this could relate to, but just imagine you could for a second. So in digging a little bit more into the background of this person, what began to emerge was kind of an idolizing of her dad. And she didn't realize that part of what she was searching for in a partner was somebody that could kind of, and none of this consciously, by the way, that's very important. This isn't conscious 98% of the time, if even that. This is all shit going on underneath the surface in the subconscious mind, which again runs us about 95% of the time. So she's looking for someone that can live up to her dad. And whatever she misses that she doesn't get from her dad now as a grown woman, there's this unconscious desire to have it from her husband. Well, the problem is her husband isn't her dad. Her husband isn't even remotely like her dad. And so what happens? She's disappointed. And she really wants this need met that goes back to dad and keeps pushing, controlling, complaining about how her husband isn't showing up. And the reality is her husband loves her. Her husband wants to please her. But the husband can't be her father, literally, or even in terms of role playing or role substitution. So listen, that's a perfect example of how all this plays out. So to be able to work through conflict in the healthiest way, you have to be able to dig down to what's the conflict actually about. What is it about the person with the grievance that's about them that is dealing with their needs, wants, or desires? They're getting thwarted or disappointed. Expectations, I've spoken about that before. And then there's all this reactivity that keeps coming out like, screw you for not giving me what I need. But most of the time we're not that aware and or that honest to be able to go, I'm really pissed at you because I need you to be a daddy or mommy substitute and you're not cutting the mustard. So I want to give you an exercise. that will take you 5 to 10 minutes. Get a piece of paper and write down on that paper, just set a timer for like 5 minutes each, because I'm going to ask you to do 2 different lists. So write down one list with a timer set for 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes, just off the top of your head and off the top of your heart, write down anything that you are missing in a good, healthy way from your mom. Include also what are the needs, the things that you wished your mother had been like, given you, provided to you when you were growing up, that you just never got. Okay? Get all that down. Then set the timer again for 5 minutes and still just totally free-forming it, stream of consciousness. Do the same thing for your dad. What did you not get from him that you really needed? Approval, affection, reassurance, a sense that you had somebody keeping you safe, whatever it might be. Trust your instinct and just jot it down. Then when you've got it all done, so this is for people that are in a relationship, or if you're dating but you've had a relationship history where a lot of relationships don't work out for you yet, look at that list. So just speaking for straight people right now, but this is a good exercise to do no matter what your sexual orientation and preferences are. You look at each thing on that list and put a check mark next to any item on either list that, when you think about your relationship or past relationships, kept being a bone of contention, kept being a problem for you in that relationship. Check each one, and then look at each of the ones that you've checked. And the next step is to ask yourself, do I still need that? Does this grown adult being really still need that from anyone else? And if the answer is yes, then your next step is going to be to start brainstorming about how you're going to give that to yourself, instead of depending on your partner, who at a young unconscious level you pick to be a mommy or daddy substitute. Start looking at how you're going to take care of that need. Then, if you really want to go for the bold, courageous move, have a sit down with your partner when you're both in a relatively open and receptive state and share with them what you learned. You know, I keep getting upset with you every time you don't do X, Y, Z, or every time you do ABC. And I just had this V8 moment. This is a need that I've had since I was 10 years old and never got met. And I thought you were going to be the mom or dad substitute. And I officially let you know that you're off the hook from needing to fulfill on that for me. Give that a try. If you have questions, if it brings stuff up that you're not sure how to deal with, then you're welcome to email me at Geoff, Geoff, at yourrelationshiparchitect.com. You're welcome to leave questions here in the comment section. Or you can also go to yourrelationshiparchitect.com and click on the box that says Relationship Design Review. And you can actually get some time with me to explore how your relationship is really having a lot of unnecessary tension and how you can get that all cleared up in a fairly easy way if you're willing to do the work. Okay, thank you for being here. See you next time. Love boldly and love unapologetically. Oh, and by the way, just see how your life is if you keep telling the truth.